Greetings all. What a wonderful conversation we had on Thursday in our live session. Thank you to the authors and facilitators for a fascinating, very textured case. I want to reflect on a few themes. The first is the need to identify the problem. As we discussed, there was significant confusion on the social worker's part with regard to assessment. And based on the erroneous assessment, there was problematic intervention. As William put it, after reading through the narrative, it's clear that Carlos has been outed. It's an assumption. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's try again. It isn't clear that Carlos has been outed and is a homosexual. It's an assumption that he is, based on the topic of the week. But what is disturbing most about this case study is that Carlos has no voice in either in the actual narrative and the way the case plays itself out. It may be that he is gay, and if he is, it's vital that he has at least one supportive and accepting adult relationship. As Jennifer puts it, I would not have called the parents into the school at that time, and certainly would not have insisted that they, quote, need to talk about their son's homosexuality, end quote. As Ryan put it, I feel this school counselor could have handled the situation differently, and their actions likely further escalated the issue. I don't believe the counselor had any reason to discuss Carlos' sexuality with his parents. As is, the counselor has clearly compromised the trust and any confidentiality in working directly with Carlos. School counselors should treat the children they serve just like any other client, with respect and compassion. Neither of these traits was exercised in this case. Sometimes helping someone the wrong way only does more harm. The fact of the matter is the counselor has put Carlos at risk for rejection and abuse from his immediate family. These are serious concerns for students navigating the treacherous waters of sexual and gender exploration and orientation. I wouldn't be surprised if Carlos resisted working with this counselor going forward. So we have consensus here that the school social worker was sucked into the bullying dynamic and exposed Carlos to further risk. Bullying is the issue here. And it exacerbates the problem to focus on analyzing the target rather than dealing with the agent and the school culture that facilitates abuse. As several of you pointed out, service to Carlos is the critical issue. As Jennifer said, I would have called Carlos into my office only initially and presented myself as an ally and a support person if he wanted my support. I would check in with him regularly at first and offer him resources. As William points out, as a school counselor, I am more concerned with empowering Carlos to interact with his father on his own terms as safely as possible than to insert myself into the family dynamic by engaging primarily with the father about Carlos's sexuality. Unfortunately, Carlos is clearly the victim in this case. It feels like everyone, counselor, Sonia, the family, is treating him like he did something wrong. Sonia is clearly the assailant and responsible for creating the situation. Her disregard for Carlos' privacy is of great concern and needs to be both acknowledged and addressed by the counselor. So, unpacking this case, it looks like the worker certainly needs further supervision, and the supervisor can use this as a teaching moment for the worker. It seems appropriate that the worker no longer be involved in this case after these significant missteps. It's important for the supervisor to connect with Carlos, apologize, offer support. As many people pointed out, a formal bullying prevention program at school is necessary. And we also discussed a restorative justice approach. And several people talked about Sonia being having an active part in designing and carrying out that anti-bullying program. It's also important in terms of restorative justice for Sonia to make amends with Carlos. Maybe helping him in a way that he wants to be helped, maybe giving him something of value, maybe making money and giving him that money. That is also an important component of restorative justice. And Lisa points out, after the school has their training, I would feel that this would be an appropriate case to send to peer court. As a respondent or defendant, Sonia has to admit to the wrongdoing and get a goal sheet or sentencing that's created by a jury of her peers. If she sees her peers taking the issue seriously, she may be more apt to think twice before sharing other peers' private business publicly. So once again, this was a fascinating conversation, and I am delighted on Carlos' behalf that you have seen through the cloudy waters here and crafted a clear and useful direction. Well done.